Well, so I had a appointment with a neurologist yesterday or the day before. It was so weird and bad. It wasn't terrible. I don't know what to do. I present my symptoms the very best way I can figure out how. Make these drawings and illustrations and I do a timeline because the thing is, this has been a lifelong thing and it's very progressive. And it's moving from like my forearms and forelegs to my sternum and now up to my neck, the base of my tongue, and the stiffness in my face. And but the doctor was like, "You're not stiff, you are animated," which I am like, "Yes, I am. I agree." And it's like, um, he would only talk about the skeletal movements. So he diagnosed those as tics, but like Tourette's, but I am way too old for Tourette's, so it's not Tourette's, it's tic. And he would not discuss anything else. Like, I have basically the same quality of movements in my digestion, and then like a lifetime of these flares of pain in my forearms, forelegs, sternum, and now the base of the neck, base of the tongue, jaw bones, and then like a stiffness sinking into my face. And I guess I shouldn't call it a stiffness because maybe it's more of it's an internal it's an internal feeling of stiffness, and it actually has a lot of different qualities. It changes quite a lot depending on what I do. It's very affected by stress and exercise. Exercise is like number one, and that's something you talked about too with tics. And I get that. The exercise definitely does help the tics. Actually in yoga, 100%. Keto helps the tics like 100%. Um, Exercise really helps the pain part of it. Like when I have like a burning pain, riding my bike, just it's been so helpful. Just like, and I don't go crazy. I just like methodical. And I feel like growing up, there was always like some old person just riding a bicycle all day long throughout my town. Like I feel like wherever I live, there's like some old person just like dude riding a bicycle. And now I'm like, I think that they were dealing with some probably chronic pain. Um, yeah, it's so. I went to like a specialist neurologist. Not the first time I've been to a specialist neurologist. The first one diagnosed me in person with Huntington's disease, even though I do not have Huntington's in my family. And thankfully, there is a DNA test, and I do not have Huntington's disease. But then this doctor, it's in my medical file, and I probably told him, and oh, that's yes, I did tell him, and he like scoffed that off like I wouldn't have needed a blood test. It's like, well, this other guy was also a movement specialist, neurologist. Like, I don't know what to say. And then with that guy, I had taken a drug, guanfacine, saying that a little wrong, but not completely wrong. And it's like an ADHD drug that they give to people with Tourette's. Okay, so I took that 2 years ago in 2020, and it actually did help with my movements. At the time, my movements were like this. So keto actually helps with my movements more than that drug did. But what happened was I took the drug as prescribed by that movement specialist neurologist in 2020, and um, it took away the relief I get from exercise. And I used to call that an exercise high, but I think now I would call it not like a standard exercise high that I think other people get, like an endorphin. I don't think it's endorphins. I think my body is doing something to regenerate or clear something out when I exercise, because it's so specific. And it's like I get on my bike, I ride 2 miles and it makes the difference. And it's like my lymph nodes start to drain, which I think is another layer of the movement disorder. It's like the movements are actually in every organ system of my body, like definitely my lymph nodes, definitely my blood vessels, definitely my GI tract, smooth muscles. Like, no, it doesn't make sense, but I'm just trying to explain it the best I can. So that doctor, I was talking about the guanfacine, and that I stopped taking it because it took away the one thing that brings me relief from this pain and stiffness. And he was like, well, you don't want to do that, so and this is what the other neurologist said to me, like, there, if you don't want to take that, then there's nothing else I can do for you. Okay. So basically he said the same thing, but to me, upon reflection, I am like, that is really interesting. Like, I took this drug that is given to people, they don't really know why it works, they don't completely understand, but they know it works for people with like Tourette's to stop their movements, and it doesn't seem to have like a ton of side effects or anything. But for me, it took away what brings me relief from massive amounts of exercise, particularly massive amounts of cardio. And just like, I think about riding my bike like I'm going down the lazy river. It makes me feel, it brings me relief. I can think. Uh, so that's interesting. Both of those things are really interesting. At such relief from exercise, such massive relief, and that drug took that away. But there is not, I'm not seeing curiosity in the specialists, and I'm not really sure. So I wrote my personal doctor, and um, I think he's a little tired of me, but he is a curious person, and he's very like pro keto. Is very, he appreciates that I take these things on, to like he would suggest keto and I did it, or also Terry Wall's protocol. He suggested that I did that for 2 years. Um, but he wrote and got me into the Mayo Clinic last year, but they don't take my insurance, and it's such a difficult thing for me to get up there. But I'm actually like thinking about that more and more, and asking help to pay for it and stuff like that. Um, because it's not out of like the realm of possibilities, but it's beyond what I can do myself. But I am getting a lot of support and help. My sister came to the meeting, and so did my friend who drove me up there. And I'm so thankful and so glad that they did come to the meeting, because they were shocked by the dismissiveness. But I kind of understand that this is a specialist, and I went asking about these one, not, I was saying it's a movement disorder. My doctor's calling it a movement disorder. I went to the movement disorder neurologist, but the movements are like the smallest fraction of the symptoms that I have. So, yeah, that's an update. It was shitty. It's really shitty to be in this situation and trying to figure something out. And I guess the thing that I am trying to remind myself, eh, is that when I show people this and I give them such a detailed timeline and description of these episodes and blah blah blah, they don't know what it is. Like, if they knew, they would know, but they don't know. They haven't seen it. They're not familiar. That's just where it is. It's not anybody trying to be an asshole. Peace and love.